Loneliness kills. It's as powerful as smoking or alcoholism. Now, we don't want to show this to anybody to freak them out because, of course, we're all going to experience loneliness at times. But it's more about, we hope from this slide, you take away that loneliness doesn't just feel kind of icky. It's actually doing something to your long-term health and happiness and longevity. When you feel that sense of loneliness, that we hope that it triggers a response for you to create a pattern interrupt. Oh, I'm feeling kind of lonely. Let me do something about it. Let me reach out to a friend. Let me call someone and get vulnerable with someone that I trust. And to really understand that what they talked about with these warm relationships, why it was so important in this state of loneliness. So what they found out about loneliness was that similar to stress, it puts our body in a state of chronic stress and chronic inflammation. And what warm relationships did was they were one of the most powerful stress regulators to get our body out of that state of chronic stress and inflammation and back into a state of joy, peace, ease, happiness. And in that state of joy and peace and ease, we age less.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of loneliness, of course, it's interestingly enough, PBS did some research on this. I was talking recently about how 60% of the United States population right now often feels lonely and just separated from a lot of things. And then, of course, the future generation, right, 18 years and younger, 80% of them felt that they were lonely. And of course, there's multiple factors in that. But it's just, again, like we're talking about awareness, right? And if loneliness kills, and that's the same as smoking and alcoholism. So it's just something like Rachel said. It's not something like, okay, I'm lonely, it's going to pass. We should do something about it. We should change that conversation and do something, maybe these atomic small habits to make those changes. Also, too, they actually interviewed millennials recently, and they found out 80% of the population of those millennials said that they were focused, the main thing was to get rich. 50% of the same population said that their focus was on becoming famous. And then, of course, they also talked about how they felt that they needed to work harder. And I'm not saying that that's not important, but this is the societal norm. There's no talk about the importance and focus on healthy, happy, warm relationships, right? And it's all relationships, not just, like the intimate relationships. This relationship to self, others, the world around us.
And, I really resonate with this survey that they did, because if you would have asked me 10, 15 years ago, those questions, I probably would have answered similarly, because I got that message growing up. I got that story. I was like, oh, the harder I work, the more successful I am, the happier and healthier and more like loved I'll be. And so I did. I worked my ass off. Like, that's all I did was just like work, trying to make some big dreams happen. So much so that like when friends would invite me to lunches or family members would invite me to something, I would be like, I don't have time for that. Like, I have to work. And I would even judge them. And even though I did go on to that drive and focus did help me achieve some pretty incredible things that I'm super grateful for, even like childhood dreams that were, to be in film and TV. When I achieved those things, for a moment it was great. But what I found was that I was really lonely and really unhappy, felt very unsupported, had terrible relationships. I didn't know how to have good relationships. And it was a huge wake-up call that made me go on a journey of unraveling and reprogramming and finding out what really did matter, what did give me this fulfillment. And more I kept finding more and more about relationships. Hence why I got so passionate and so excited about helping birth Relationship Renegades into the world.